Hi, Councilmember.
Good morning.
It's good to see you.
It's always great to be here with DÍA. Thank you so much for having me.
Has there been a difference in the amount of intensity that you're experiencing now in the mayoral run as opposed to all of your years as a city council member and before that as an activist?
I mean, it's
and a teacher.
Yeah, well, it's a different level of expectation, I think. There's a real need to meet the hunger that's, I think, that I feel certainly from communities all over the city of Philadelphia for what the next leader who's going to take Philadelphia into the next decade is going to be able to do. But at the same time, I felt like, I've done a lot of major campaigns where there have been a lot at stake and there's a lot of uncertainty. And, I feel like this is an important race to be able to help bring the city together around the things that really make us all Philadelphians, which is the things that unite us, the assets and the wonderful character and vitality that's alive in every neighborhood. And if our campaign, it's my campaign's mission to be able to do that.
What is your transformative vision for the city? What is the tactic that you think is required? Because certainly you've intervened in these small spaces that have created great effects, but do you think, what is the larger vision here? I
don't take on piecemeal approaches. I take on big issues. That was the thing when I came onto city council. One of the core things I wanted to remind people that as an at-large city council member, what we needed was a whole city approach to fixing things like schools, infrastructure that was allowing places like Eastwick to flood or the Logan Triangle to go unabated for decades. We needed affordable housing and to keep a roof over people's heads. We needed to make sure that this was a welcoming city for not only just immigrants, but new residents, and that we are a city that has to grow and develop without displacing communities. What we showed is that when we start with things here at the municipal level, we can actually push bigger ideas up and out. We don't have to wait for Congress or Harrisburg to save us. No one is going to fight harder for Philadelphians, or no one's going to fight harder for Philadelphia than Philadelphians themselves. And I've always made that clear, that when we put people at the forefront of all that we do, how they live, how their children are educated, how people feel safe, how small businesses can prosper, then we're actually delivering a blueprint, not only for this city, but for the country.
I want to address some of the looming threats to the district, one of which is a sizable deficit that is poised to hit the district in 2026 because of its history of borrowing money. It can control when it receives money, and it spends a lot and quite quickly, so it mounts to a debt. Last year, I believe it borrowed $500 million, which was a bit less than it borrowed from the year before, but it was still borrowing money. So how do you tackle that deficit given the district's history of relying on borrowing?
Yeah. So I do not see these things as debt. I see them as responsibilities. That is a very, very different thing, because if you see it as debt, if you see it as burdens, then you'll never invest. This is why we have the problems that we have in our city, why we don't build new schools, why we are not remediating on lead, asbestos, and mold poisoning that shuts down school after school, as we've seen, and it doesn't matter whether it's public or charter. We're seeing that happen time and time again. Our kids are being left behind every time they're seen as a burden and a debt. As a mayor, I'm the only candidate who's willing to take on that challenge and to say that the city and the school systems have to unite in order to hold our families here, grow our public and our school age systems, and keep and grow our city. That does mean that we're going to have an investment-based approach, but I don't think that it's going to be the city doing it alone. We have a brand new ruling from Commonwealth Court declaring the state of Pennsylvania, the funding formula, to be what we all knew it to be 2 decades ago, unconstitutional and unjust. So I expect that we are going to fight like hell to see a lot more money come through, and that should be a united front, not only from the school district of Philadelphia, but actually from our charter schools. As mayor, I believe I'm the only candidate that really understands how to make that an actual investment and convert it into a significant amount of private, state, federal, and local support for our youth and to grow our city.
Understood. Every tool in the toolbox. You as mayor will also get to appoint the school board, which will be the closest partners in helping you deliver some of these pledges. What qualities will you look for when appointing the members of the board?
I have thought a lot about this. Now, governance is one part of it, And I do believe that people who are doing this on a volunteer basis and managing a budget that is rivaling the city of Philadelphia's is not always the best model. So one of the first things I want to make sure of is that the superintendent is a lead part of the mayor's cabinet and vice versa, because I do want the city and the school systems to be united and to be held accountable for one another. So that's very important. And then in return, our school board really needs to be the 9 largest advocates for growing a healthy, strong system, both to the public and to Harrisburg and beyond. So I'm interested in engaging with leaders who have a tremendous amount of engagement on the ground, who are active in communities, who are going to be visible and present, who are going to fix problems as they come up, and to make sure that they are true partners with the city. I definitely do not want to see what we had just in the past year, where we had a school board actually sued the city of Philadelphia over common sense laws around school facilities maintenance and management and responsibilities. So I believe that under my administration, you'll see a much more united city council and school board that is working in the best interests of all members of our school-aged families and communities.